Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 1498.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about what tariff spending is and isn't happening, because different things are benefiting from people trying to get ahead of the tariffs and other things people are putting off their spending on. Now, I've been covering this for a while, and we've talked about the term doom spending, which is spending in advance of tariffs and trying to get ahead of any price increases. We definitely have seen that in new car showrooms where it seems like the prices have been increased ahead of tariffs. But recently we got statistics for April, and it showed that consumer spending was rising at a faster clip as everyday Americans were rushing to make purchases. Spending through the first 15 days in April climbed about 3.8% from the same period a year ago. Spending in March increased about 2.7% from March 1 year ago. And this was according to a report done by JP Morgan, who noted that some of the growth in spending may have also been tied to the Easter holiday, which fell almost 3 weeks later in 2025 than in 2024. The analysts also pointed to sliding gasoline prices as a possible driver of increased discretionary spending. But still, the potential for some binge buying before the full effect of the tariff policy is felt has altered the short-term economic outlook for small business owners and policymakers. There's also evidence of businesses stockpiling inventory to last 2 to 3 months, and said so-called preemptive purchasing appeared more common among companies than consumers. Shippers have also front-loaded cargo heading to the U.S. to get ahead of any potential increase in taxes as a result of the tariffs, according to CNBC's Supply Chain Survey. Products from China, which face a cumulative tariff rate of 145%, accounted for much of the cargo shippers were sending to the U.S. earlier than planned. Capital One CEO Richard Fairbank told analysts that upticks in spending on electronics and cars looked like signs of consumers speeding up purchases before the full tariff plan goes into effect. Now, while some people have been spending ahead of the tariffs, fewer Americans are said to be planning summer vacations. This is according to a survey by consumer finance company Bankrate. Some 46% of respondents said they are planning a summer vacation this year, which is down from 53% in 2024. Of those who don't intend to travel, nearly two-thirds, or 65%, said money was the main reason. However, it's not just the travel costs that are keeping people from planning trips. More respondents said the cost of everyday life was a bigger issue than vacation expenses. 68% said that, versus 64% complaining about vacation expenses. The number of people who said they weren't sure about their summer vacation plans increased from 18% in 2024 to 23% in 2025. Also, Ted Rossman, a senior analyst at Bankrate, said, "We're seeing more layoffs and the potential for higher prices, which has many people on edge." So when looking at the number of people who plan to travel domestically, this year 38% said they plan to travel versus 36% last year. The same number of people plan to travel internationally, 15% this year and last year. 10% plan to do a staycation this year versus 12% last year. 24% said no travel this year versus 29% last year. And 23% said they're not sure yet versus 18% last year. When asked why Americans are not traveling this summer, 65% said they can't afford it, 23% said they're not interested in traveling, 16% said it's too much of a hassle, 16% also said no time off of work is possible, 15% said they're worried about air travel safety, 15% also said due to their health or age they're not traveling, and 6% said they're planning a vacation for another time other than summer. Domestic spending for lodging, flights, and tourism activities is off to a slower start in the U.S. this year, according to a March report from Bank of America. It also noted that bad weather spells in parts of the country could have curtailed travel spending, while a later Easter holiday may have pushed some spending, which typically occurs in March, into April. But lower-income households are cutting their travel spending the most, while wealthier travelers may be choosing to spend more money abroad, the report states. Rossman said that despite lower consumer sentiment, many people are still planning to travel this summer. Airlines are warning about lower demand and lower profits, and we're hearing some concerns from potential international visitors to the U.S. because of political reasons. Despite the gloomy mood, we're still seeing a lot of travel. So while fewer Americans are traveling, it doesn't seem to be as related to the tariffs as it is to high everyday costs and fears of a recession or possible job loss. And again, 68% said they're not traveling due to the cost of everyday life, and that was a bigger issue for them than travel expenses, which were 64%. So interesting spending trends. We'll see how that goes into the summer. But for right now, it seems like people are prioritizing consumer goods that may rise in price, and they're putting off travel for perhaps a little bit later. If you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified as soon as new podcasts are available. And all of my podcasts are on my website at lindapjones.com/podcasts. And while you're there, sign up for my weekly newsletter for more wealth tips for your financial freedom. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.